pleasant welcome to Elbc Newsline. One full hour of news, views, and interviews from Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is Monday, July 1, 2024. My name is Fabian Kuya presenting, and these are the top stories. The Painesville City Corporation begins enforcement of its no selling and parking regulations, but the Liberia Business Association calls for a holistic enforcement approach. Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn calls for interstate collaboration to address potential security threats in the sub-region. Father faces police inquiry for allegedly raping his 14-year-old daughter in Tiwal District, Grand Cape Mount County. In Kenya, President William Ruto says the country will have to borrow more to keep the government running following the rejection of a hugely unpopular finance bill. These stories and much more, including sports, the weather report, the news in simple English and French, and also coming up is a commentary titled Liberia's Renewable Energy Boost, a matter of urgency. But first, Chris Tao and the news bulletin.
The Painesville City Corporation, PCC, has officially commenced the enforcement of its no selling and parking at the ELW Junction Runabout regulation. The exercise began with the demolition of several makeshift structures along the main streets of Painesville, especially at the ELW Runabout. Speaking with ELBC Monday, PCC Director of Police Melvin Tobert described the start of the exercise as successful.
The process is fine. We initiated last night at about 12 p.m., where we all were in the streets trying to get the entire place cleared up. Because we had a massive awareness for about 3 months, having informed to relocate. And then I think for the perpetrators, we have already found place for them opposite the FBS market, and there where they are moving to.
Director Tobert assured the PCC will remain vigorous in ensuring the sustenance and ordinance of Painesville City identified a site for the perpetrators to relocate. At the same time, the president of the Liberia Business Association, Labour Jean Strutter, has expressed serious concern over the ongoing PCC enforcement exercise. Mr. Strutter called for a holistic enforcement approach involving key stakeholders, including Labour, the umbrella organization for business. He spoke with ELBC Monday in Painesville at the start of the PCC no selling and packing at the ELW Junction Runabout regulation enforcement.
I agree that you want to see the city of Painesville lay out the way you want it, but people are there who seek their daily bread on that street. And if we want to remove it, it's a holistic engagement.
Mr. Strutter told State Radio the Business Association is doing an official communication to the Commerce Ministry and the Painesville City Corporation for possible redress. Meanwhile, the Painesville City Corporation Police Director said the ongoing exercise at the ELW Junction Runabout will be extended to the red light market. Director Tobert said the PCC is currently working along with a joint security to ensure some marketers in red light are relocated. He believes doing so will give the Painesville a good facelift. The PCC Police Director also warned that any officer of the corporation caught compromising the ongoing exercise will face the full force of the law. Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn is calling for interstate collaboration to address potential security threats in the sub-region. Vice President Kuhn named narcotic substances, human trafficking, rape and human rights violation, among others, as major challenges confronting the sub-region. He called on stakeholders in the response sector to be intentional and tackle the emerging issues that potentially pose threats to the safety of people in ECOWAS member states. The Liberian Vice President's statement was contained in a speech delivered on his behalf by his Chief of Officer Staff, Prince Bill, at the opening of a 3-day workshop on the ECOWAS Protection and Human Security Integrated Consolidation Mechanism in Monrovia.
As these areas of national concern remain the growing security threat to our sub-region, the relevance of our presence in this room should unite us more. Perseverance and concerted efforts.
Vice President Kun also pledged government support to the activities of the ECOWAS Protection and Human Security Integrated Consolidation Mechanism. In a related development, Justice Minister Councillor Oswald Toy reaffirmed Liberia's commitment to the ECOWAS Protection and Human Security Integrated Consolidation Mechanism. Minister Toy said the framework is crucial to addressing sexual gender-based violence, security, human rights, and law enforcement, among others.
Let us remember that our work here has far-reaching implications. Our discussions, plans, and strategies will shape the future of our response mechanism and fortify our national resilience against threats to human security.
Also speaking, the ECOWAS Commission political advisor and early warning Liberia officer Nat Walker thanked the government for its support to sub-regional cooperation. Dr. Walker, however, commended Liberia as host of the mechanism secretariat and pledged ECOWAS Commission's support to achieve the mandate of the secretariat. The 3-day in-country support facilitation workshop for the ECOWAS Protection and Human Security Integrated Consolidation Mechanism is being carried out in collaboration with the National Center for Coordination of Response Mechanism. Jurors at Criminal Court B have handed down a unanimous guilty verdict for murder against defendant Charles Jofula. Defendant Charles Jofula was indicted on August 23, 2023 for reportedly killing Jeanette Smallwood with a single-barrel gun in Logan Town, Zen Camp Community, Bushwood Island. The victim was immediately rushed to the John F. Kennedy Memorial Hospital, where she was pronounced dead on arrival. Police had earlier charged defendant Charles with impersonation and for illegally bearing the firearm as officer of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. Meanwhile, the sentencing of the murder convict will be announced following reports from the probation office of the Ministry of Justice as provided by law. Police in Grand Cape County are investigating a man for allegedly raping his 14-year-old daughter in Tawa District. Suspect Musa Yan is said to have allegedly committed the act recently on their farmland in the absence of the victim's mother. The victim told our correspondent the suspect had sexually abused her 3 different times and consistently threatened to kill her if she tells anyone, but she later informed her mother following thorough questioning on the declining of her health. Meanwhile, medical reports from the Wahoo Health Center in Waterside confirmed that the victim was tampered with. Labor Minister Councillor Cooper Cry says the ministry has raised over $3 million United States dollars as revenue intake for the government under his stewardship. Minister Cry said the ministry generated the money between January and June from concession companies, including the renewal and obtainment of work permits by aliens. He said the move is to facilitate government's efforts in raising the needed revenue to support a development agenda.
January to June 17, 2024, we have generated a total of $3.8 million. Just to give you the figure, it's $3,865,378.88. That's how much we've collected.
I mean, just in a short period of time.
A short period of time. And we are working to increase that revenue collection.
Speaking to our reporter over the weekend in Congo Town, the labor minister also admonished aliens to comply with the ministry's regulations. Minister Kra warned that any alien caught violating the ministry's permit regulations will be fined not less than 1,000 United States. Meanwhile, Labor Minister Councillor Cooper Kra has dismissed media reports linking him to working for Henry's and Kra's law firm. Front Page Africa in its Thursday's publication alleged that Minister Kra works for the Henry's and Kra's law firm that received 53,000 United States dollars from the National Port Authority for legal service. But Minister Kra told the Elbc over the weekend the report is untrue and only intended to besmear his reputation. He also clarified the Henry's law firm was established in 1944 by the late former Speaker Richard Henrys and later transferred the law firm to his son, George Henrys. The Labor Minister also disclosed he joined the law firm in 1985 along with other lawyers as partnership between the Henrys and Kra families, with his son and brother serving as lawyers of the entity. The Liberian government has dispatched a delegation to Wialamagibi County to ascertain circumstances that led to the protest at the Salala Rubber Company last week. The protest was allegedly staged by people believed to be aggrieved workers, led to the destruction of looting of the company's properties. The delegation is headed by Justice Minister Oswald Toy and assisted by the Ministers of Agriculture, Dr. Alexander Nuta, and Information Minister Jeremy Pia. In an ELBC interview Monday, Information Minister Jeremy Pia described the action by the aggrieved workers as unacceptable and called for the law to take its course.
This is terribly bad for the country. We agree that people can have issues, labor-related issues and other issues that they must raise. What is unacceptable is the fact that whenever there are issues, people take the law into their own hands.
Minister Pia said while government recognizes the dissatisfaction of the workers, the act of violence should be discouraged at all costs. He called for dialogue as the best alternative to mitigating issues of conflict. Tension is said to be brewing within the United Methodist Church over recent endorsement of same-sex marriage at its global conference in the United States. The situation led to some members of the Miller Alista United Methodist Church in Gunter, Neighbor County, staging a peaceful protest against Bishop Samuel Quayle over the weekend. According to our correspondent, Bishop Quayle had gone to communicate the decision reached at the global conference when members began chanting anti-gay slogans. Our correspondent said tension then intensified, forcing the bishop out of the church with the help of pastors. Meanwhile, pastors of the local Methodist churches in Nimba County have distanced themselves from the decision and threatened to break away. Meanwhile, United Methodist Bishop Dr. Samuel Quayle is calling for calm amongst members of the church in Liberia. Bishop Quayle said, like Liberia, most African countries do not endorse same-sex marriage, stressing there was no need for tension. The Methodist Church told the Super Morning Show Monday that local pastors have been warned not to officiate same-sex marriage ceremony despite being endorsed at the global conference.
I can give that assurance 100%. If anybody wants to try my result, if any of my ministers will want to try my result, they should just go ahead and do that. This is what happened.
Bishop Samuel Quayle said prior to traveling for the global conference in the United States, he publicly denounced same-sex marriage. According to him, the church's position remains the same even in the face of threats from the global church to withdraw financial support. Police in Maryland County are investigating 3 persons for allegedly stealing 3 streetlights in the area. According to our correspondent, the 3 suspects were arrested by the Community Watch Forum in the county. Suspect Afonso Tia, aged 16, told the police that he stole the lights and reportedly sold it to 2 individuals in the same surrounding. Our correspondent said the incident happened over the weekend when the Community Watch Forum was on their normal route. Meanwhile, the 3 suspects are currently in police custody awaiting court trial. 2 new members of the Board of Commissioners of the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission have toured key electricity generation facilities to acquaint themselves with the status of these facilities. The facilities include Mount Coffee Hydropower Plant, the Bushrat Island Power Plant, and the Trasaco CLSG substation at Mount Coffee in Manserati County. According to a release, the 2 new commissioners who visited the LEC facilities are Attorney Clark Edward Tome and Amara Kamara, respectively. LERC Acting Managing Director for Engineering Abu Sanso told the 2 commissioners that Mount Coffee Hydropower Plant and the Bushrat Power Plant are integral parts of the nation's energy. Meanwhile, the Executive Director for Commercial and Regulation, Handy Sharif, emphasized challenges confronting the corporation in meeting the growing electricity demand across the country. And the Director General of the Liberia Intellectual Property Office, Kamen Koboy, is calling for collective efforts in protecting intellectual properties in the country. Speaking on the Super Morning Show Monday, Madam Koboy said protecting intellectual property will help Liberians benefit from their talents and hard work. She wants Liberians to protect the brand name of their businesses to avoid people infringing on their intellectual property rights. She noted that the protection of intellectual property rights is one of the best ways to boost the economy of the country. Madam Koboy also disclosed that several owners of SMEs have been trained in intellectual property management to ensure that their businesses are protected.
Crystal in the news bulletin. She returns a little later with the weather report and foreign news. One of the big stories of following Vice President Jeremiah Cohn calls for interstate collaboration to address potential security threats in the sub-region. A 3-day in-country support facilitation workshop for the ECOWAS Protection and Human Security Integrated Consolidation Mechanism has opened in Liberia. The workshop is aimed at reviewing the mandate and function of the National Center for the Coordination of Response Mechanism in Liberia relating to ECOWAS framework. We have a report by Joetta Kula.
Despite the heavy rains